First, let's not bury the lead. Maybe the most fun to watch game of the weekend, Miami versus the Chargers. We had Miami take them down 36-34 in the final seconds, actually coming up with a defensive stand for the first time in the game to stop the Chargers from getting into field goal range and basically scoring a game winner. Miami holds up. They get the win. 234 yards rushing for the Chargers. They kind of got anything that they wanted offensively until basically that last drive. But let's not forget, Tua had 466 yards in the air, 3 TDs, and an int. So that's kind of the background if you haven't watched the game. But let me just start by saying that this felt all the way through just like a game the Chargers were going to lose. This felt like a very classic Chargers game. And it started – they were playing really well. They were playing better than Miami. Miami was turning the ball over. Tua had an int, had a fumble, and the Chargers were getting anything that they wanted on the ground. Austin Eckler, I think, had a 65-yard run, but it was tied up right before the half. I think it was maybe 30 seconds left or something. I think it might have been less than that, maybe like 20 seconds left. The Chargers score. They kick it off. Miami only has like 20 seconds and a timeout. They bomb one to the 50-yard line and use up almost all the time. There's 2 seconds left. They go for the Hail Mary pass. It doesn't get anywhere close to the end zone. But J.C. Jackson pass interferes, DPIs the receiver, which gets them into field goal range. And Miami ends up kicking a field goal with no time left at the half, going up 2017. And that was just one of those classic Chargers gonna charge, right? They're just going to do what they have to do to lose every single time, right? And this is why I don't like them this year. It's why I didn't like them in the playoffs. But I will say, these defenses did not look great until really the last possession where, Miami got 2 sacks in the final set of downs on Justin Herbert. Before that, neither team had a good answer for what was going on. And, I mean, Tyreek just got whatever he wanted out there, against the secondary of the Chargers. Kellen Moore, I guess, schemed up a pretty good game because offensively they did well. But frankly, I mean, this just came down to, the Chargers. They couldn't get it done at the end of the game. And even though there was mistakes on both sides, it just felt like, especially the way that Tua and Tyreek were playing, they were going to come up with the win on this one. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, this game really, I think, I also called it. I was cold on the Dolphins. I called them to win this game. Didn't think it was going to be like this. Didn't think it was going to be with a sort of offensive performance that Tua Tyreek put on. Obviously, not a lot on the ground game for them. Obviously, the Chargers are an absolute ton. But yeah, I mean, for me, that definitely as an AFC East team, seeing the Dolphins put on an offensive performance like this is worrying. Is especially as someone who I don't want to say I was counting them out, but I kind of was. Anyone who's watched this podcast knows I'm the resident Dolphins hater as a Patriots fan. But yeah, this game genuinely worries me, having that level of offensive performance. Of course, the defensively does not bode well, especially for a team that I still thought had a pretty good amount of defensive talent to let the Chargers kind of walk all over them for a lot of the game. Is tough. But I mean, obviously, I think this is also I just didn't think the Chargers were going to have it in them to pull out of this game. So I mean, I definitely agree. That same sort of vibe. I got the same sort of vibe from what I was watching.
It's funny.
You were saying.
This is the reason I liked Miami last year before Tua got hurt. Is even their defense gave up 34, right? But even when there was only 20 seconds left at the end of the second half, it was like, oh, with this offense, you can score. And it's the way you feel about Patrick Mahomes. And I've always felt about Patrick Mahomes when they're down and they don't have much time left and they need to score. I know we didn't see it on Thursday, but that's how you feel. And that's how I feel about the Miami offense. And I mean, Tua looked incredible. He was just dropping bombs the entire game. They weren't particularly great on third down, I will say that. And at one point in the game, they were 1 for 6 on third down, and that's why they were losing for a while. But they did a little bit better. They only ended 4 for 9 on third down, whereas the Chargers were 9 for 15. The Chargers played a cleaner game offensively and ran the ball 10 times better than Miami, but Miami just beat them in the air.
Tyreek Hill, 215 yards. 215 yards for Tyreek Hill.
Unguardable.
Tough.
Completely unguardable.
Yeah.
Let's go to the kind of big shock of the 4 o'clock hour. Um, Rams beat Seattle handedly. Wasn't exactly close. And I mean, I don't know. What I have on this one is I got to be honest, guys. If you are watching and following along, I have Seattle going and winning the Super Bowl this year. This was a little bit. This was a little bit concerning. Okay.
It's concerning.
Uh, I mean, you think that this Rams team has kind of been kind of spent. They kind of invested everything on winning that Super Bowl, and we saw kind of what happened last year with sort of the lack of talent, Stafford, getting older and getting hurt. Well, guess what? He looked great today against the Seattle defense.
With
Had a
no
ton of
Cooper
yards.
Cup.
Yeah, with no Cooper Cup, had a ton of yards, over 300 yards passing. And McVay just like schemed up a fantastic game. And you got to appreciate that. Seattle had some injuries. I know Lockett went out with a head injury, and going into the game, I think that they had injuries. It's something that I wasn't really watching, and I guess I should have been a little bit more aware on. But that's really a huge upset. I didn't see really anybody taking the Rams in this game. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, this was not on my radar. I think, this game really makes it more interesting because a lot of people, us included, were kind of counting the Rams out for the season, not let alone this game. Weren't thinking about them as much for the season. But Stafford comes back as a great game. Doesn't throw any touchdowns, but obviously gets them in position to run them in. Two different receivers with 119 yards, and guys who you really wouldn't have heard of. I hadn't heard of Puka Nakua, or I think I had heard of Tutu Atwell. Maybe he was on the Super Bowl team, I think, but maybe. But I not guys you heard, not Cooper Kupp, not Tyler Higbee, although he did get 50 yards receiving. I mean, this is especially when if the Rams defense was going to play and still have some steam left in the tank, that isn't shocking to me. If they still have Aaron Donald still on the team, stuff like that. The quarterback whose name is escaping me. But I didn't know if Matthew Stafford had it left in him. And the Seahawks defense, they picked a cornerback at top 5. They had Tyreek Woolen, that's it. The breakout star rookie last year. Like they had all this secondary talent as well. I really thought would have been able to contain the Rams more, especially the Rams without their second best, their probably third best player, maybe if it's like Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. You would have and their best receiving threat, of course. That's what concerns me. The sort of the Seahawks defense, them having some trouble on offense. I can see that, right? Geno getting back into the rhythm. I can see that, but defensively, it's tough to give up 30 points to a Rams team people did not have faith in.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that. People will say, "Oh, was this Rams playing well and sort of meeting the low expectations that people had for them, or is this Seattle playing bad?" And I don't know if I'm ready to say that this was the Rams playing super well. I know that they looked good on offense, but is this just bad Seattle's defense, like you're saying? And on offense, they also looked poor. I think that they were even worse on third down than Miami was, which I just highlighted. So it's concerning. And, if you want to see me continue to ride with the Seahawks until I guess I can't anymore, make sure you like and subscribe so you see the rest of our videos and our podcasts throughout the season.